What's up YouTube? Jeff back again from DopeTechDaily.com. Today I'm bringing you guys my opening weekend review of the Galaxy S8 and the Galaxy S8 Plus. Now I do have all three colors here, so I wanted to give you guys a quick rundown on my favorite color. I bought the black one for myself. The silver one actually came from a demo unit from Verizon they sent over for me to check out. And the Orchid Gray I bought for my mom. I actually like the Orchid Gray a little bit better than the black. I've been using both sizes for review. And the black one, while it looks nice and sleek, the Orchid Gray is something new, and it's also very subtle. So compared to some of the gaudy new colors Samsung's put out in the past, the Orchid Gray doesn't look right in your face crazy, but it also sort of has a nice hint to it. When it hits the light, you've got a little bit of purple mixed in there with that gray. Now, one thing I really like about this year is that all of the phones, as you can see here, regardless of the color, they all have black fronts on them. Samsung mainly did that so that the screen sort of fades into the bezels. Looks like there's actually no bezel there. It looks much better than last year where we had, the gray phone would have a gray bezel, the black phone had a black bezel, the silver phone would have a silver bezel. I think this is a much more streamlined look overall. In terms of size, that's another question that a lot of people have asked me. Which size do I prefer? Because I've been using both. I used the Galaxy S8 Plus for a couple days. Now I've been using the regular Galaxy S8 for a couple of days. And I got to tell you, I prefer the regular Galaxy S8 mainly for the reason that the fingerprint scanner, which I do like to use, is just much easier for me to reach because the phone is not nearly as tall. So I have a lot more false reads on the Galaxy S8 Plus when I'm using the fingerprint scanner. That's mainly just because I'm not able to reach up there quite as well. I also swipe over the camera lens quite a bit with the S8 Plus. I've had much less of an issue with the Galaxy S8. The fingerprint scanner is not nearly as bad. I still don't like the placement, but it's not nearly as bad. Unless you have huge hands or you really need that extra screen real estate, I encourage you to go in store and check out the regular sized Galaxy S8 and see if you really want to go with the Plus. I think the majority of people went with the Plus and they might regret that at the end of the day. The next thing I want to talk about is the Verizon versus the T-Mobile variants. So this is a Verizon variant over here. This is a T-Mobile variant right here, the S8 Plus. There are a couple key differences which I want to do a full video on, so I'm going to try to do that. One of them is that the Verizon model does not have Bixby Vision, the shopping option, enabled, which I did a video on. I'll drop it below. You see you've got the little Bixby Vision icon down there. But if you actually point the camera at something with the Verizon model, it's not going to give you the shopping option. So you can see right there, it only gives me the option to play around with the image. I don't have the option to do any shopping results. Whereas if I actually use the T-Mobile model here, it's going to get it right in there, and then I have the shopping option right there as well. So Bixby Vision is not fully integrated into the Verizon model. That's something to think about. Something else you might want to consider is that the settings are a little different on the Verizon model, but you can actually change this so that they're very similar. So let me go into the settings menu here and show you guys. The settings menu is a little different on Verizon from the outset, as you guys can see. But if you go to the top here, the little hamburger menu, and you change that to view as a simplified list, you can actually get the same sort of setup. The one thing that's different is if you go under the device management option here, or device maintenance, you'll see that you don't have quite the same setup. So you don't have the option here to optimize like you do on the T-Mobile one. This is the Verizon setup. You can get the memory option back though, but even if you go into memory, it just shows you the amount of used memory over the last few hours. It doesn't give you the option to clean it or anything like that. So that's something to think about. The Verizon model can use a T-Mobile SIM card. The T-Mobile one, I have not been able to get a Verizon SIM to work yet. I did unlock the phone. Supposedly it's an unlocked model because there's a U on the box. My good friend Max Lee and I were thinking it would work. I'm going to continue to test that. Maybe I just have some APN settings I need to mess with. But definitely the Verizon one is unlocked for use with any GSM carrier as well out of the box. And then the other thing is the quick settings. So if you look in the quick settings up here, you'll find that on the Verizon model, you do have the mobile data, as you can see there, and mobile hotspot. If you look on the T-Mobile model, you do not have the mobile data quick setting enabled by default. Now there is actually a way to get the mobile data and mobile hotspot if you're missing it on your carrier's model by using the command line. I mentioned that in one of my top tips video. It was a tip that XDA developers posted. I'll link the article below, and I'm still going to try to make a video doing that command line stuff and talk a little bit about how that's working. Battery life. So battery life on both of the phones has been pretty good for me so far. I got about 4 hours and 45 minutes to 5 hours on the Galaxy S8 the last couple days. That's screen on time. with my regular usage. Again, I'm just using the stock launcher, stock everything. I haven't disabled any of the Bixby settings or anything yet. I'll probably do that and try out the battery life with Package Disabler Pro enabled. With the Plus model, I've been getting anywhere from 5.5 to 6 hours screen on time, which I would consider pretty good. That's right on par with my Pixel XL, and a lot of the battery tests I've read around the internet also show that it's very close to the Pixel XL when it comes to screen on time. So I'll detail the battery life obviously more in my full review because it's only been 4 days and I've used each of the two sizes for 2 days only, so I can't really make any lasting impressions, but that's where the battery life has been so far. The smoothness on these phones has been okay. There has been some lag, I would say, when opening some apps. I also think the animations are a little bit, I don't know, I mean, obviously you can turn down the animation speed in developer options. The animations are a little annoying to me. Like when I open a folder, you can see it takes up the entire screen. I'm not a huge fan of that UI decision. Why can't it just be a tiny little opening folder? That's just a little bit of a nitpick, but it is something that's a little annoying. Also, I have noticed a little bit of lag when switching between things with the animations and also when opening third-party apps. A couple times when I've opened Flamingo, it sort of stuttered a little bit before it waited to open the app. Overall, though, the new version of TouchWiz is pretty nice. Is it going to be as fast as the Pixel? Absolutely not. There's no comparison in terms of the speed when it comes to a phone like the Galaxy S8 versus something running stock Android like the Pixel. It's just much faster. But I haven't been unhappy with the Galaxy S8's performance overall. Snapdragon 835 seems to perform pretty well. I haven't done any in-depth gaming tests, mainly just been using it for my everyday so far. I will run some benchmarks and some, of course, games before I do my full review. But so far in the day-to-day, a little bit of lag, but nothing so overwhelming that I wouldn't recommend the phone. Another thing that people wanted to talk about is the red display issue that we have supposedly on these phones. So in quite a few of my videos, people mentioned that they could see a red display on my phone. So I'll go ahead and show you the 3 that I have. Unbox Therapy did a video where he showed all of the various phones on the screen, and he took a look and see what the red looks like. So I'll show you guys the red levels. I actually turned mine down to 75 just to see if I could get it to maybe show a little less of a red tint. I showed some people on Twitter. They claim that it's still red. Anyway, I'm going to turn it back up to the full red amount, and I think you can see there is a difference between obviously adjusting this. So Samsung said there's going to push out an update so you can adjust this even further, sort of tweak your color balance settings a little more. But to me, there is a discernible difference between the two. And also, I do agree that, of course, there is some difference between the various phones. So every single phone that you get is going to have a slightly different display coloration to it. So I'll go ahead here and I'll show you guys the differences between the 3 that I have, just so that we can sort of compare. Obviously on Box Therapy he had 10 phones, so his differences were going to be a little more drastic. But I think even with the ones that I have here, you guys will be able to see a slight difference. So let's put all of the displays out. And now I've got all the red balance up to the same amount. And if you look there, I think you can see that it's pretty clear that a couple of them look a little more red to me personally. So this one over here on the left looks a little more red to me. And if you compare them side by side, face on with the camera, I think you can kind of see where the reddish differences are. If you compare them pairwise here, you can see which ones look a little more red than the other. Now the thing is though, to me, to be honest with you, whenever you compare these screens, you can see the differences, but I can't actually tell that it's too red when I'm using one single phone. So unless I have 2 of them side by side or I have it upside one of my other phones, Pixel or G6, I can't really tell that there's a red issue going on. So obviously if it's a problem for other people, Samsung should address it. They said they're pushing out an update next week. I don't think it's a huge issue as long as they do come through with the update next week. And so far I'm not worried about it because you can tweak it a little bit already in the settings. So battery life, fingerprint scanner, performance. The build quality I talked about. I love the build of the phone overall. I don't think the curved edges are as huge of an issue as they have been in the past. One thing I will say about the curved edges a little bit is that they do make it difficult to get screen protectors. So I do have a couple of glass screen protectors coming, but in the past, screen protectors have been non-existent for the curved screen phones. We'll see how that goes this year. It's mainly because of a problem with the adhesive. So that's one build decision that might lead to some issues. Otherwise, not bad on the build. Not a great speaker for a flagship phone. I mean, it gets relatively loud enough to watch some media, but it's not very clear. It's not as loud as the iPhone speaker. It's a single bottom firing speaker. Some people thought that it might be stereo with the earpiece serving as another speaker. That's not the case, so don't get your hopes up about that. The camera performance, which I know people are going to want me to talk about, I posted a lot of pictures over on my Twitter comparing the Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus to the Pixel, the LG G6. I took a lot of macro shots last night and did some comparisons. You guys can see right here. This is the Huawei P10 Plus versus the Google Pixel XL and the Galaxy S8. Now, I actually think the S8 got the worst of this. So far, my impressions on the camera, shutter speed is super fast. The phone does very well taking landscape and portrait shots. It doesn't do that great with macros though, and it also doesn't take as good of selfies on the front-facing camera as the Pixel XL. So I compared quite a few shots. This is one I took of my food at PF Chang's. I feel like the Galaxy S8, which is right here, may have gotten the best of this shot. It's really kind of a toss-up between the Pixel XL and the Galaxy S8. And depending on the lighting or situation, the Pixel XL outperforms the S8 sometimes. The S8 outperforms the Pixel XL. Again, the overview of that is the Pixel XL appears to be better with macros and also front-facing shots with the selfie cam. The Pixel also appears to have a little bit better video stabilization. I am going to shoot a few vlogs with both of these, Pixel XL and Galaxy S8, so we can do a quick comparison. Well, that's about it. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about. So I appreciate you guys checking out the video. That is my opening weekend overview of the Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoy my content. Find me at dopetechdaily.com, Google+, Instagram, and Twitter at the links in the description. Appreciate you guys checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.